barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath.
Feeling on top of the world, you can't tell me nothing. Fans copping CDs to call me McLovin. I keep it 100 at a time like how others. I keep your mitts off my goals, and I'm taking no messing with hoes. So don't slide on my DM, cause my girlfriend will stab you. Got so many people saying that they fucking with me. My girly friend thinks I'm cheating. I told her that I am faithful, faithful to you in rap. I'm a cracker going ham for the cheddar. I'm unlunchable, can't get in my level cause I'm untouchable. Look at my rhymes, they are so punchable.
Faces underneath, I know they're my enemy. It don't matter what the hell you think you gotta say to me.
I've been rapping so long, can't you nothing but hateful words. I know this could be the biggest I get. I'm never gonna let up or forfeit. Want everyone to beg for my feature. Want girls in the crowd fight for my t-shirt. Gonna shake the game up like a seizure. Gonna shake the game up like a seizure. Yeah, you probably can't stand me like bleachers. It's okay, don't like myself either, but I promise I'm not going anywhere. When I look in the mirror, I can't see my face cause
I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath.
I'm well aware that I'm doing something that everyone thinks they can do. But how many people sacrifice to continue doing what they do? But just because I sacrifice doesn't mean that I'm gonna make it. I realize this, but I'm so hungry when I don't eat I can taste it. I'm whipping the city, I hope that you're hearing me, backing me up like a flash drive. If I ever do make it, I never change, but I will put mommy up on a fast ride. Jump up a chick for the last time and cherish the way that I pass time, and think of it as a great pastime, and go hard to my last line. Cause
faces underneath, I know they're my enemy. It don't matter what the hell you think you gotta say to me.
Yeah, all my bills are past due, got no money and I'm drowning. Trying to provide for my daughter, yet you wonder why I am frowning. Trying to keep my head above water, juggling life from a rapper and a father. You're gonna get overthrown like levitating royalty. Buy diapers with royalty. Rap is my calling, now I'm gonna answer the phone. So be like a bank and leave me alone, cause
I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath. I can barely sleep. I can barely breathe. Caught up thinking about all the faces underneath.
The face, the face, the face, the face, the face, the face.